All right, boys, let's get into it then. This is the first, since the rebrand, this is the first podcast as now as is on the spot instead of canning conversation. So as everyone can probably see if you're watching the video stuff, we've got trying to get a bit of a set going here. So it'll probably change from time to time. But yeah, this is what it's looking like. I like it. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. We haven't done one of these in ages.
When did we last do one?
I had a look. It was a while ago. It was like just into the new year.
Oh,
just into the new year. Yeah, just into the new year. So it's been a while.
I can't remember.
So I'm gonna break it down into 3 parts and trying to keep it as structured as possible. Part 1 will be we're gonna start with like European football, the Champions League, because PSG won it, and I think they've got a lot to say about where football's heading. Then part 2 we'll get into all the Prem stuff. We'll go over our predictions. I had like Hibs to get relegated was one of mine for Scotland. I had an unbelievable season. Ali had Hearts to split the Old Firm. I had Gary O'Neill to do really well at Wolves, sacked. Beans had United to come 3rd, almost got relegated. Like there's some hilarious ones. So we'll do all that, and then part 3 we'll wrap it all up, looking a little bit ahead to next season, and that we'll see how much we get into on that part. But let's start with the Champions League, and I don't know. I'm not really too fussed about talking about the Europa League, to be honest. I think there's been enough said about it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And apart from the fact that how poor the final was.
Yeah,
I can get the fuck.
Yeah, I think there's been enough said about it. So, Matthew, I'll start with you then. Overall, Champions League, it had the new format this season. Obviously, PSG go on to win it. But just overall, what was your thoughts on it this season? Yeah.
I don't know about you, I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the new format in particular, actually, to be fair. I was a bit sceptical.
It's just more games, though, isn't it? Like, it's just more Champions League games. You can't get much better than that. So I personally, with the new format, I had no idea what it was going to be like, but personally really enjoyed it. I think the structure on that in terms of how they have it's good. So
yeah, it made it better, do you think? In a weird way. Or not better, or just to say, I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's hard to tell because it's only the first time doing it, but
I actually think it made it better, you know that?
Yeah.
I do think there still needs some work around like how the draw works after the league table. With like obviously the bottom teams all playing each other to then get seeded, so to speak.
Yeah.
They maybe need to look into that a little bit. Obviously Liverpool end up playing PSG, who like ended up being like 2 of the better teams, to be fair.
Yeah.
So on that, I was confused at the time. So PSG finished, what did you say? Like
they came 15th. I've got it here.
Yeah.
So surely if we finished first and they played, they finished 15th, and does that mean 16 downwards didn't qualify for the next round?
So 1 to 8 automatically got through.
Yeah.
9 to 24 played in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Had playoff games to try and get through.
So PSG had a playoff game.
So yeah, PSG had a playoff game. Another 8 went through. So they had to play a playoff game.
So then from the playoff game, how did they end up getting us through a draw?
Yes.
We were seeded.
Yeah, seedings. Because we were first, but they came so low in the league table. So we came first, so you get better draws, obviously. So you play teams that finish lower down. So we got PSG, who came 15th, right?
So by that point, though, it was a draw that it went into a hat, and we got PSG.
Yes. Sorry,
seedings.
Didn't go into hat. It was seedings. So that's how we got.
But how does it go into seedings if they play a 2-game knockout to then go into that next round?
Yeah, and I think it was like whoever they played, they would have played like the team that finished like 17th or something like that in the seedings, and then beat them, and then they were the next seed for us to play.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it was a bit
something
of a.
along those lines.
It was a bit mad because they played Brest, didn't they, in the knockout phase, and they beat them 3-0 and 7-0, and then got us.
Yeah.
So we technically could have played Brest if Brest beat PSG, but
not unfortunate.
But at the time they weren't great PSG at the time. They clicked as soon as the knockout phase hit, really, didn't they?
I mean, they battered us, didn't they? To be fair,
I said it at the time in my videos. I thought that was basically the final. I thought that was the 2 best teams. You chuck Madrid in there because Madrid are always just Champions League. So
hated our approach in the first leg though.
Did you?
Yeah.
Do you think
he's got that in him? Like,
yeah, he does have that in him. Do you think overall, did it make? Because like the earlier games when you used to have like the other league games, you would still maybe, I'm just looking at the bottom of the table, like you know your young boys and stuff like that. I mean, they still finished absolutely rock bottom on 0 points, along with Slovan Bratislava. So Salzburg came on 3 points, Girona 3 points, Leipzig actually came on 3 points, Sparta Prague 4. So, I mean, the shit team still finished pretty, at the bottom. That's how
I think that's always going to happen though. Like, I mean, let's
you
be
had
honest,
that in the new system, didn't you?
Yeah, and the old one you would get teams that just got 0 points.
Yeah. The top 8 was, because like the top 8 was Liverpool first, Barca second, Arsenal third, Inter, Atletico, Leverkusen, Lille, and Villa. So that was who automatically qualified.
And there's probably some rogue ones in there like Lille,
Yeah,
and but then obviously you've got like Real Madrid, etc., and the PSG,
yeah.
Bayern Munich, maybe all in the next half. Did you
Yeah,
say
Bayern
that?
Munich
So-
were next half, yeah, with like Juventus, Real Madrid, Dortmund, Celtic,
Yeah.
City were in the...
So it did make it a little bit more balanced,
Yeah.
probably
City-
compared to.
City got Madrid as well, didn't they, in the knockout game?
Oh, yeah, so
Oh
the-
yeah, so they did, yeah.
So it made it quite
a lot
interesting.
a lot of money involved with it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done financially amazing off that Champions League.
Yeah.
Suppose we got like over 100 million just for finishing first in those group stages and that.
It'll be interesting to
Pretty
see how all the teams approach it next season, because now they kind of know like what roughly the format is and how it kind of goes with the extra game. So it will be interesting to see. I mean, obviously Liverpool are going to be like, we came top and we got PSG. Kind of what's the point? But I still think you want to finish first if you can finish first.
Oh, 100%.
Home first two teams got home.
Yeah, you get home
advantage as well, second.
advantage. Yeah.
Was just a bit unfortunate, but we could have. To be fair though, we probably maybe could have nicked it, but I don't know. That home, the game in Paris, fucking hell.
Should have been like 5-0.
I've never seen a team get battered so
yeah,
much.
and
Yeah.
win.
And Harvey Elliott
And
with
win
the winner.
again,
I
yeah.
can't believe we won, man.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
That's football for you.
Do we think so? Like the main topping point, I wanted to get onto this as well, which we've all kind of talked about behind the scenes. But do you think that PSG, with how they went on and how they played, they were very attacking? They had like Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, and then obviously the front three that were very attacking. I would say that the midfielders decided to get forwards too. Do we think that might be the blueprint moving forwards with, going from that kind of like Pep style of football where they constantly, everyone's looking to kind of just keep the ball and pass it around too much? PSG had a good balance, but they were like, we're going to come at you going forwards and we're going to have about 6 players.
Yeah, I don't know though. It's probably the same as like the Pep formula doesn't work for all teams. People are going about it all the time now, but I don't think the PSG one does either, in terms of they've got like 5 folk up front that are just absolutely rapid.
Yeah.
Where like other teams aren't. Like, I'm just going to pull a team out now, but like Nottingham Forest aren't going to play like that, right? Because Chris Wood's not going to like. But mind you, they don't play like Pep either.
Yeah. But
I just think you need to have like a certain, same as anything, but you need to have a certain kind of player and attacker to do that. And they've got so much talent going forward. I don't think all managers are just going to be like, let's now just go for that.
Do you think the top guys will though? Do you think the top teams will start to move towards a bit more, just, all right, we've got the better players, we've got the firepower. Teams are kind of sitting in and looking to hit us on the break, but we're just going to just try and get as many people up there and be a bit chaotic.
I think that's the case. I don't really think it. I think that's the case at the moment a lot of the time.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I just think that the PSG. I just think he got everything right. You could also flip it and say like the midfield was a bit like, in terms of defensively, a bit lightweight in that, but it didn't really play a part. But
he had them like pressing really well to like get the ball back, didn't they? Like I thought they're overall, obviously because they won the Champions League, so they typically are going to be the best team. I just thought the balance overall was really good, but there wasn't. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, I don't feel like the sole focus was like a lot on like ball possession. It was like getting it forwards quickly. Does that make sense? That maybe break it down a bit better for what I'm trying to say.
I think it definitely gave the reason Dembele's doing so well is he's giving them pure freedom.
Yeah.
It's probably little instructions in there, but I mean these guys are so good that like if you can get them going and get them playing, they're pretty much unstoppable.
Because I feel like we've seen for a while now, like wingers and stuff in particular, constantly coming inside, playing a safe pass, not looking to get in behind.
Quite refreshing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely coming into it. I don't think just with PSG. I think it's coming into it.
Yeah, I think the top teams will look to try and
It's
start
evolving a little bit for sure. Again.
Well, I think you see. I think if you see like City as well with Guardiola, he's got Linders in as assistant. I think he's looking to bring like intensity, pace again a little bit to
Yeah,
City,
fair.
rather than that kind of like, it'll still have the core concept of we have the ball, obviously, but I think they're going to look to go like the kind of next wave is like, can we be a bit more explosive and go forwards quicker, rather than let's keep it kind of all the time and suffocate teams.
Yeah, interesting. I think it's a little more complex than that, but yeah.
Because like a lot of teams are starting a lot of teams, especially in the Premier League, have got high level attacking wingers now with pace. They're just kind of sitting in and being like, well, we'll hit you absolutely rapid on the counter attack. And I think that style's starting to get not found out, but just being a bit redundant. Like coaches are starting to be like, we can pick you off with a bit of pace going forwards.
That's always the case. I guess football just keeps evolving, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of what style comes in, you look at it tactically, you need to deal with it, and then something else comes along.
Did anyone else impress you guys in any of the Champions League games that you watched? Barcelona?
I loved I was in the pub watching Barca Inter the second leg.
Yeah.
It was just probably my favourite game of football for the season.
That's
in
game
terms
of the
everything.
season. Yeah.
Which one was
The
that?
second leg where Inter ended up scoring twice.
Oh, I was in Tenerife for that.
extra
Yeah.
time.
That was
But
quite.
it was just like like Yamal's just a joke.
Yeah.
Like for a 17-year-old kid, or is he even 18 yet? Probably not.
Don't think so.
Just like outrageous. But I thought that was just a really good game of football. Like again, probably slightly what you're saying. Like Barca really try and get the ball forward first. Inter obviously good defensively, and then when Inter were losing, they actually end up doing the same thing and just like, well, fuck it, let's get it forward. So it was just a good game of football.
Barca were mental. Did you see how high a line they played?
Yeah. They had that's what I mean, same concept as PSG, but a bit more rogue and chaotic. They didn't have like the control of like the midfield and the defense. It was a bit more. It kind of took me back to like Liverpool early days of like, you just go 4, we'll score 5.
Yeah.
Like we've got Yamal and Lewandowski and Rafinha. Rafinha actually ends up being top goal scorer and top assists in the whole thing. He gets 13 goals, Rafinha, and he gets 8 assists. So he ends up being the most in the whole Champions League.
You know, I don't know if you remember this or not, but when I played in America, do you remember? Oh, who the fuck was it? So there's a team that in America you got like 10 years. So if like you're a coach over there, and you basically, if you're there for like over 10 years, and basically like the only way you can get sacked is if you do something like really bad, like touch a character.
Where is this going?
So anyway, there was a team that I played against in America that every season, you play them twice a season, that no matter what, they'd literally play the line at the halfway line, and even if we went like 5-0 up,
they would keep doing it.
he just made them just keep doing
It's
it.
like Ange.
Don't know why.
Literally.
I mean, yeah, literally. Like, sorry, just literally, when I was watching the Barca game, it just literally reminded me of that. So I pissed myself. I was like, the coach let just sit there like that as well. And like, no, like, you can even tell them, like, get up. I forgot who it was. It'll come to me, but.
Easy to say now, because obviously the final was like a bit of a whitewash to say. But because Barca played that line, do you think Barca would have got on any better against PSG? Or do you think they would have got done as well?
I think they would have got done.
Yeah, I mean, I think Liverpool looked at the opposite way, and I thought they done the opposite and thought we're going to bunker in and try. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying, trying to hit
front line
PSG on the
so
counter.
good and that, and like to try and play high against that would be so tough.
Yeah.
You need to have constant pressure on the ball if you're doing that. But
But
it was
because I would have
interesting.
liked that final. I would have liked the final to be Barca, but as I say, it's easy to say now because the final was poor. But
They were definitely the most exciting. Like PSG were exciting, but Barca were like chaotically exciting, weren't they? Not controlled exciting.
Yeah.
Villa were class.
Villa were
yeah,
good.
enjoy. By the way, Villa just about did PSG.
Yeah, they did.
Villa were fucking.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You can swear, mate. Sorry,
I know,
you can
sorry,
swear.
I'm
It's all
bad
good.
for it. Villa were fucking brilliant, man. They
Villa
were really
were.
good throughout the whole season as well. I thought.
I actually turned that game off. With PSG went like 3-0 up on aggregate or something like that. Maybe I
Yeah.
can't remember. And then all of a sudden Villa got 2, didn't they? And I was like, Chris, I need to put this back on.
Yeah, they were good. Like really good to watch. One of my favourite watches this season, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 5-4 in aggregate. PSG beat them 5-4 in aggregate. So again, a lot of goals in there. If you actually look, I'm just having a look here, right? Like, so let's go from the knockout. Let's go from the round of 16, second legs, right? So Arsenal go through against PSV 9-3. I mind Atletico and Real Madrid played each other with a controversial penalty. That was 2-2. Villa beat Club Brugge overall 6-1. Lille and Dortmund 3-2. Bayern Munich beat Leverkusen over 2 legs 5-0. Inter beat Feyenoord 4-1 over 2 legs. PSG knock out Liverpool on pens 1-1. And Barcelona beat Benfica 4-1 in total. Like, there's a lot of goals in there. There's a lot of goals in there. Then you go to the quarters. Arsenal beat Madrid 5-1 over 2 legs. Inter and Bayern Munich are 4-3 over 2 legs. PSG knock out Villa 5-4. And then Dortmund and Barca are 5-3. Like,
Yeah.
I just felt in Europe, in particular, there was just a bit less emphasis on being safer with the ball, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's what I think. If you look at what Liverpool are obviously doing, I think if you look at what City are doing, I think that they're looking for young, pacey people now to be like, we're even like your wing backs too. Like, they're going to be like, how I've watched Portugal against France. Like, was that the final, Portugal France or Portugal Spain? Of the
Portugal Spain was the
Portugal
final.
Spain. Like Nuno Mendes is up there, gets a goal. I mean, Hakimi gets forwards. Like,
if you actually think about it, the old system, just playing in a group of 4, what it done was if you could get a win under your belt, it was like, that's pretty like good.
yeah,
If you think about it.
Yeah.
So in the old system, if you could just play at all costs and just try get points on the board and get a win, then that was good. But I think these days, especially in this new format, I've not really thought this through, to be honest with you, but I
know what
think
you're
there's
trying to
probably
say,
a bit more emphasis on there's way more games that you potentially need to just go for it.
Yeah, and I think
like, I
I
don't know.
agree. I think what you're getting at is that because you only play a team once, it's like in the old format, because it was a table, like an actual table, you were kind of taking points off that team.
Yeah.
Where you're only actually going to play them once, so they've still got another 7 games to go and pick up points. So it's maybe just a case of pick up as many as you can.
Also, you've also not got home and away.
Yeah, that's a good point as well.
So you also can't go, right, we're at home, we're going to go for it, we're away, we're going to try and just maybe play for a point here, because a point away in the Champions League is still it's almost like 3. So come think of it, I think that system, that new format might do that. It kind of eradicates a lot of that, which, I mean, just overall was a big fan, like, just loads of more Champions League football games that you couldn't really go wrong with, eh?
Oh, nothing better through the
Watched
week.
quite a lot of them.
So good.
Tuesday, was it?
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesdays. And
Yeah,
then
still
Europa
just Tuesday,
Thursdays.
Wednesdays, was it?
Yeah, it was good. And so, yeah, as you're saying that, Matthew, I mean, you had to get 16 points to finish in the top 8. That's what Villa finished on in 8th place. So out of 8 games,
that'll be a bit of like a blueprint for it now. I think clubs will sit down that know they're in it and look at that and go, right,
that's what you need.
I think they'll look at it and they'll be able to. There'll be a pattern that'll follow with that, which will be interesting to see.
Which is very impressive, because it's a total of 24 points that you can get. Liverpool finished top on 21, and then it's 19, 19, 19, 18, 16, 16, 16. So, you're right. Like, as you just pointed out there, you used to be able to kind of take your foot off the gas a wee bit on the old league format if you were one of the better teams anyway, weren't you? You could take your foot off the gas, whereas now you're kind of like, as you said, Greg, you're not taking points off anyone, really, in like your little mini league.
Yeah,
you're needing to kind of win. Yeah. So it was good. I liked it. I'm with you guys. The
one thing I am interested to see if they'll ever go back to some teams dropping into the Europa, because I think that made you said we aren't going to talk about Europa, but that made it maybe a little bit like poorer quality.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm not a fan of teams dropping in, but then I guess if you maybe if the whole point is to try and keep like other clubs interested, you could maybe have like your young boys and stuff like that drop in, but then they're probably going to get humped in that as well.
Yeah, true.
So like, I don't know how you would do it, but I know what you mean. But overall, I agree with you guys. I liked it. I mean, I don't think there's any debate. PSG pretty clearly obvious winners. They're the best
team. It'll be interesting to see if they can come to it again. But
yeah, there was in Madrid. Madrid were quite. Madrid didn't have that spark this year with Ancelotti, so
there was shit going on there. I think.
Yeah, they'll be interesting. They're trying to work Mbappe out with Vinicius, and they're trying to work all that out, aren't they? And yeah, but Alonso's obviously going to be there next season, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. They're always dangerous, but yeah, I think that'll do us for this kind of European conversation. Unless anyone else has got anything else they want to add to it. I think just before we dive into the Prem, you obviously, what did you have? You had Napoli won Serie A, PSG win that. PSV won the Dutch league, didn't they? With like the chaotic last day, beating Ajax to it. So yeah, I think that'll do us for the Europe stuff. So let's get into the Prem then. Let's do it. Let's get into the Prem. I think we'll start with doing our predictions that we all did. First of all, I had a little read back and look at it today. So in terms of who we all thought was going to win it, Ali's not here, so I'll read out obviously his Prem 11, which we'll do of the season as well at some point. But I said City were going to win it. I thought they were going to have 5 in a row. They obviously drop off. Greg and Ali, you guys both said you thought Arsenal would win it this time and pip them. And Matthew, you were correct, whether you were just being funny or bold, but you did predict Liverpool to win the league title. So they won the league, and that was number 20. So that was that. Just quickly to rack off the kind of finishing in the top 4, as I thought Arsenal would come second, behind City, Liverpool third, and Newcastle fourth. Beans, you had Arsenal second, United third, Liverpool fourth. Ali had City second, Liverpool third, and United fourth. Matthew, you had Arsenal second, City third, and Newcastle fourth. So you got 1, 2, and 3 correct, and only a last day off of a full house, because Newcastle could have came fourth on the last day.
Yeah, there you go.
I win a prize,
or you don't. You get fuck all. You get absolutely fuck all. So
tactic.
I think cause I started with Matthew for the Champions League stuff being so. Just overall, what was your thoughts on the Prem season? Obviously, there was a lot of talks of this being a poor Premier League season from a lot of the media, but what was your thoughts overall on it?
I mean, it's easy to say as a Liverpool fan that I enjoyed it, but I think I don't know. I always think with that stuff about it being a poor season, I bet you if you were to go back over the last 30 years, there's been other seasons like the exact same. It's just that City have set that kind of marker of getting 95 plus points.
Yeah.
So this year was probably just a bit like back to normality, with obviously City dropping off. Liverpool. The one thing that I would say, which is why people say it's maybe a poor season, is like once Liverpool got out in front by like Christmas, Arsenal didn't really put on much of a fight. So there wasn't really a title race, and even I know top 4, well, they ended up being top 5 for Champions League spots. that was the only thing to really play for with like 4 weeks to go, because the 3 that came up
We're
were
straight down.
so poor.
Yeah.
So I think that always like kind of hurt. And then like let's be honest, there was like your Tottenhams and Uniteds had just given up on the league with like literally 6 games to go, because they knew they couldn't go down. So maybe the overall season felt a little bit anticlimactic because of that. But as I say, as a Liverpool fan, I thoroughly enjoyed the year.
No one will speak about that in like
Exactly.
5 years and be like,
You'll just be like, who won the league?
hardly anyone really, even with the Leicester one, everyone's like,
Well, that's a good point
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really. That was good. I think obviously the likes of City dropping off and then United and Tottenham kind of having weird seasons. But if you look at like the likes like Brighton and Villa, and you probably put Newcastle and that in the mix there.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, exactly. I think you look at those clubs and like I actually think that the likes of United and Tottenham might need to be really careful, because I think the likes of like you put Bournemouth,
Brighton.
Villa, Brighton probably in the mix there. Brighton maybe not so much, but definitely more so like your Villa and Bournemouth and that. Like I think that the model now that they've got is just so much better
Yeah.
Yeah.
than the model that like you look at what like even what United and Tottenham have got, and they have to be really careful because they get that spot on and they can keep their managers. Like I honestly don't see them like finishing. It'll depend on obviously injuries and that throughout the season and who. And obviously Champions League and Europe if you're playing in Europe and that, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I just think that they need to be really careful because the model that these clubs are starting to create now, specifically on the science side of things with data and stuff like that, like it's a bit of a game changer, and it can almost put you past the head of the dinosaurs and that. Yeah, you can.
And the longer they continue to finish 7th, 8th, get some European football, get a bit more money and get a bit of an appeal to other people, the better is it. And by the way, on that, why I don't think it was a bad season at all, and you can talk about it, the 3 at the bottom just go straight back down. Obviously, we're really poor. There was a bit of an interesting race for like 4th and 5th, which I know is doesn't really mean anything other than Champions League. But I think after that, the middle of the Prem, as you've just said, for me, that I can remember off the top of my head and the whole time of watching football, is the strongest it's ever been. It has the most lure because of the money they're making.
And even like we played Fulham away, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe even a little bit longer. And you're like, actually, like it's not easy to go and get points at like Craven Cottage, for example, now. And I think like I don't know, but maybe way back 20 years ago, all these teams like United were obviously the best. They would just go and churn out wins at all these away grounds.
Exactly.
Where I don't think it's like that anymore. I think going to like Brighton away, Bournemouth away, Fulham away, Nottingham Forest in particular this year away, it's like really, really tough places to go and pick up points.
These clubs are starting to bring in money now, and the likes like United and Tottenham and that. Like, there's not like I honestly think it's a bit of a slippery slope for them. Like,
They'll always have that lure, though.
Yeah, I mean, they're chucking the cash on. United have already got Cunha for 62. They're talking about Mbuemo. They're talking about Gyökeres, but it seems quite. I know what you mean.
Let's not go into it. I don't know why they need. Actually, you know.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued by that
Gyökeres.
Gyökeres.
Doesn't matter. Like,
I'm with you though. I think the middle of the league was extremely strong this season. Again, it's always like those teams though. Like Bournemouth have lost Kerkez. Like. They've lost Huysen to Madrid. I mean, you're always you need to continue to be a step ahead in the data to keep yourself up there. Because let's be honest.
Pedro maybe.
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, as much as we say about Man United and Spurs, but if one of them comes in for a Bournemouth United player, they can pay more money. They're probably going to go. Yeah. So
the difference is like you need to recruit well though. Like,
I agree.
That's probably the biggest things that the clubs we just mentioned have done. They've recruited so well.
Yeah.
And obviously with that probably comes the data and science side of things and stuff like that, and obviously a manager buying the players for the manager and actual what he wants. But yeah, I think the recruitment side of things is huge. Like, and there's just new models in play now, isn't there, that you can look at it and do it differently. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. But what did Villa end up getting? Was it
Villa came 6th? They came 6th, 66 points, so they'll be in the Europa League. Yeah, which will hurt them.
With such a poor refereeing decision on the last day, that was a shocker.
It'll hurt them because, as we've talked about a load of times now, this whole PSR thing is actually, they're making people actually obviously have to go into that. So like Villa have chucked money. I'd quite like to get into it too, because I think Newcastle are in this same boat as well, where how do you Villa basically got the Champions League, and then they got Asensio, they've gone for Rashford, they signed a few other players like that, but then they've not then made it again, because I think, as we've said, the league is so difficult. You're trying to learn how to play both, but you need to get high level players in. But all of a sudden you're in a position now.
They loaned those players,
I know they did. I know they did loan them, but I'm just saying, for example, if you want to get players into your squad, it's very difficult to juggle the Europe and the league, if, as we're saying, the league's getting a bit harder. And I think now, as soon as you start to drop out of those places, you've got a massive gaping hole in your money.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a lot more competitive now in terms of, like, even look at the so-called Big Six.
Yep.
Like Villa, Newcastle, like those clubs being involved in the race for the top four as it is just going to make it. There's always going to be, arguably, if Villa and Newcastle get in, there could be as many as four of the Big Six not having Champions League football.
Yep.
So that's why even like Liverpool, City, Arsenal this year have to be so on their toes for next year, because if you drop, as you say, if you have the money coming in and all of a sudden you don't, that could look at Liverpool spending quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think that's. I think the only thing I'd say about that though is that's always been the case, no matter what.
Yeah, probably.
The only difference you're talking about is this new thing in place, but I think this new thing that's in place, I think it more so depends on your club revenue and what you're bringing in compared to what you spend.
Wages count towards it too.
The wages count towards that,
and what you bring in and what you pay. So like buying players does have an impact on it. So you can't, or else Newcastle and City just go, well, here's 100 million on fucking 7 players.
Yeah.
That's 700 million. Like it does play a part.
No, but it depends. What I was saying was it depends on your, like your revenue and stuff like that.
Yeah, that plays a part in it. But you can't just go but you still can't just go spend 700 million pounds in a window.
Right.
Even if you like like what you spend and what you bring in plays a part in your finances.
Teams are probably going to loan players then.
Yeah, it totally could become a loan, and I just think that I think it's going to be really difficult for Chelsea are like stockpiling like mad. So they have a squad where they obviously balanced a lot with the Europa League last season. I think they'll do similar in the Champions League. I think they've like got a squad now where they can kind of balance and rotate and keep guys fresh. But like, I think Newcastle will struggle to get into the top 4 again next season with the balance of both of the midweek, because they can't go. They're not used to it. So if you're kind of going 1 year in, 1 year out, 1 year in, 1 year out, you're not. How are you finding the balance between your players getting used to it, the manager, the club, everything?
It's a lot of the same squad though to what they had last time on Champions League, I'd probably say.
Yeah, and they made an extra step up and similar squad, and they won the League Cup, but they can't go. They obviously almost had to sell like Anthony Gordon and stuff last summer. Like they can't now go and buy 3 high level players for £200 million, for example, overall, because they're not allowed to do that now. So how do you bolster your squad and be able to balance Champions League, which we've just said is difficult now, and the Premier League, because Bournemouth are playing 1 game a week now. So you're Newcastle and you're playing Bournemouth and you've just had fucking PSG away in the middle of the week, and then you've got to go to fucking Real Madrid the weekend after, and then you're playing Brentford. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
That's what you want to do. That's the beauty of it. No?
I know it is. I'm just saying I think it's harder for like...
It's always getting in, if you go in, if you're kind of at that level and you do get into the Champions League, it's always going to be harder, no matter what.
Of course it is, and that's why I think Liverpool, Arsenal and City...
But if you do it right, though...
Yeah, if you do it right, Liverpool, Arsenal and City, as you just said, Greg, I think you're looking at it as they've been a 3 for the last like 3-4 years, and I think all of them will be like, we are not dropping into that battle for 4th and 5th in that, because as soon as you miss out, you're in a bit of trouble financially.
I wouldn't say our squad's very...
Yeah, we actually did okay last year, weren't we? We were in Europa last year.
Yeah.
Was it last year?
But Champions League, we seem to juggle... This is the biggest thing as well, is that I think that injuries play a huge part in it.
We were probably lucky this year.
Of course, yeah.
We weren't probably lucky. We were very lucky. I mean, Slot just played like the same 14, 15 guys.
Yeah. And we obviously got, not lucky on the injuries, because obviously there's a lot that goes into it. And we brought in a guy that specialises in that, and it seemed to obviously go well.
Yeah.
He's probably got a fuck off bonus as well, considering how good it was. But yeah, that's obviously going to play a massive part in it as well.
What about
to invest in that?
What about obviously the 3 teams that came up, went back down: Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton? I mean, Southampton finished with 2 wins in total. Ipswich with 4, Leicester with 6. I mean, all of their goal differences are literally they all concede 80+ goals.
I think that's going to happen more and more now, and it comes back to the reason we've just been saying about like your Bournemouths, Forests, Fulhams, who like back in the day were maybe yo-yo clubs, and they've made that jump up.
Yeah,
and now these teams just can't catch up, because it's not like it's, and like you never know, like Leeds might do okay this year because they've kind of been there, done it a few times, but I feel like it's so hard for teams now to come up, and it's not like any of them are even getting close. They're like getting relegated by like 15, 16, 17 points.
Yeah.
That must be so hard.
How much do you use? I've put this, and I wanted to talk about this with you guys too. And I think this was a big talking point. I think Roy Keane has said this on the Stick to Football. But like, how much of it though? To me, I'm looking at all three of those teams, right? Southampton, Ipswich, maybe. Yeah, well, it still go down, but Southampton, Leicester, like these teams are coming up, dicking or doing well in the Championship, playing an expansive style of football, right? Which everyone wants to see. They're then coming up and they're getting pumped. But like no one's changing or adapting. Like the managers aren't changing or adapt. Like Vincent Kompany getting the Bayern Munich job after what he did at Burnley and relegating them is fucking mad.
How do you think a team would get on though if they just went like old school and just lumped it up to the big guy?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I think there's a balance there, but like no one. I mean, Southampton, Russell Martin did not adapt.
Yeah, and they were
he
awful.
He might sit here and say, well, actually, I did try and do a couple of little tweaks and stuff, but they continued to do the same thing all the time. And it's not like, well, I think you said, Greg, I don't think it's as far as like punt it up to the big guy. But at what point do the managers need to take a bit of accountability and say, we're stepping up another level here. We now need to learn to be a bit more compact. When we have the opportunity, let's do our thing. But
it must just be so hard because you've embedded like a style of play into a team, and it's gone well in the Championship. Could you imagine if you went to training on the first day in July and the manager was like, here, remember all that passing about we did? Scrap that. We're just lumping it
now.
Like,
yeah, it don't work like that.
Yeah, it must be impossible.
But this is why I think moving forwards, I think the most adaptable, the most balanced team overall in Europe won the Champions League. And I think the most adaptable coach in England won the Premier League. Like, I would say we adapted based on games, based on who the opposition was. Like, there's always the core, like, Van Dijk's clipping at the Salah, right? Like, you're trying to play into gravity. There's always, like, those cores. So I just think these guys at the bottom, it's like, you can keep a core, but I think to constantly be like, we're going to continue to do this as fucking Erling Haaland puts in the seventh past you.
They're not good
That's
enough.
what I mean.
They're not good enough. There's levels to it. There's levels to it. There's not that I'm sitting here saying they're shite. Because the level that they're at is absolutely ridiculous.
It must just be the jump up, and then as we say,
there's levels to it, man. Like,
and all those teams that used to probably be part of that yo-yo are now have kind of made that step up as well. So the teams just seem to go straight back down. When was the last time a team came up and stayed up? Because all three went down the year before as well.
Yeah. So it's at least 2 years in a row. All three have gone straight back down, and as we said, quite convincingly. I mean, I think you looked at. I mean, like the year before, I think I said this in the start of the predictions one at the start of the season. Like I said that at least Luton last year tried to harness their home ground and be a bit more of that. Do you know what I mean? They tried to flip something and make it work for them. And as you say, okay,
Ipswich done the same.
Ipswich tried to do a little bit the same. Fair enough, but I do agree with you. It's like it is very, very difficult. I mean, there was that clip of Martindale about Livingston when they said he excited to go back up, and he was kind of like, not really, to be honest. Every game in the Championship's exciting. The budgets are all quite similar. We're going to go up to the SPL and just get absolutely fucking humped every week. And it's kind of, you're kind of a bit like, oh, it's a bit defeatist, but the gap is starting to really get. I mean, Leicester finished 18th on 25 points. It's then Spurs, who, as you said, Greg, pretty much gave up on the league.
Yeah,
with quite a while to go. Yeah. They finished on 38. So what's that? 10, 11, so 13-point difference.
Yeah.
So it's not even close. It's
No.
not even close. So it's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. I think we should get into all our thoughts on kind of best players, coaches, managers, and everything from here. Or do you want to do? Should we finish with the in terms of this segment, do you guys want to finish with our 11, or do you want to start with the
Finish
11?
with that because I need more time to think about
Finish with the 11, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go into that. Who? Let's go best player this season in the league overall. Who did Matthew? Do you want to go first with it? Who do you think was the best player? It's fine if it's an obvious shout and we can all agree on it.
The best player.
Yeah. Who do you think was the best player in the league this season?
That's quite obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard not to say Salah.
Yeah.
But to try and make something different.
I'm the same. I think there's no
Might-
debate.
yeah,
It was Mo Salah.
100%.
Most goals, most assists in the league
Yeah.
this season. I mean, what does he get? He gets 29 goals in the league and 18 assists.
Yeah. I mean, he was the best player comfortably, wasn't he? But
Yeah.
like guys like Chris Wood, for example, probably deserve a shout. I never
Yeah.
put him on my fantasy team once because I was like, he's going to dry up, and he actually never.
20
did, to be
goals.
fair.
20 goals.
Same, close to the bottom.
And Buemo
Yeah.
gets 20 goals. Haaland gets 22 again. Jacob Murphy gets
Did Wissa get 19 as well?
Vissa got 19 goals. Beans, you're right.
Yeah. It's a good
good-
haul from Mbuemo and Vissa, isn't it?
It's
Brentford.
unbelievable.
Yeah, very
Brentford
good
are
haul.
Fucked.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. They're going to start to get their team picked apart, and they've lost the manager.
Yeah, I think
It's
they might
nature
go
of the
down.
beast.
There's nature of the beast. Yeah, I don't think there's any. Sure, we can chuck those guys honorable mentions, but yeah, I do think Mo Salah's the best player. Who do we think was the best signing that got made? I think we talked about it before. I think I had a look at it. There wasn't a lot of signings. that
Yeah,
impacted.
I just thought that Dean Hewson, or however
Yeah.
you're saying his
Mhm.
name. I mean, the obvious
Did-
fact that they signed him for 18 million euro. I looked
Yeah.
earlier on, they've just sold him for 50
I agree.
million quid.
Yep.
After a year.
business,
Yeah, he was at Juve though, so it's not like he was a total unheard of. He's just a
Quite
great
unorthodox,
signing. Yeah, but I think that's the obvious one, isn't it? Just for like as we've just been saying, that for Bournemouth's huge. Like
Massive.
making 30 million quid and
Yeah,
Yeah,
In a
they'll
year on
hopefully
someone.
invest that well. like.
Yeah.
yeah, they will.
so yeah, I would give it to. I'm trying to think of anyone else off the top of my head.
Matthew, anyone
When
else?
did
on top of
Bournemouth
it?
sign Kerekes?
No, they've had him for a couple of seasons.
Have they?
Yeah, they've had him. For
I don't
2
remember him,
seasons.
to be fair.
Yeah. I listened to a guy talk about him for coming to Liverpool, and he was there for the season before, and then this season again. Yeah. So,
Jenny, when did Alanga go to Nottingham Forest?
oh, that's a good shout. Did
Because he was really good this
I'll
year.
have a wee Google of that. When did Alanga
Good
go?
shout, that.
Yeah, when did he go? Alanga had a really good season,
Yeah.
actually. Maybe was he at Forest the year before? He joined Forest in 2023, so yeah, he's been
was he?
there. So he doesn't count. I mean, I had a look at the signings today, and honestly, just kind of went. I think everyone's going to say Hoyson, to be honest.
It does
because-
feel like that. Like everyone just shot themselves with PSR last
Yeah.
summer.
with Everton and all that getting
Yeah,
everyone
it
was
was
kind of
like
like,
shit.
hold on, what the fuck's going
Yeah.
on? City were obviously the investigation started on them. Everyone kind of went,
Yeah.
let's hold our horses on this. So yeah, I don't think I'm not gonna spend too much longer on that. I think if we're all in agreement with Hoyson there, who do you guys think that you watched that kind of most improved over the course of the season, or just in general? Maybe he's been there for a couple of years. Maybe like Alanga's a good shout in that. He had a really good season.
Tielemans for me.
Tielemans at
Yeah,
Villa, you liked
really
him,
good,
didn't you?
yeah.
So
liked
good,
him.
man. Deeper, and then in the big games I played him a lot as a 10 behind the striker. He was on all set pieces. He was fucking class, man.
I think he was
was so good.
Tonali at Newcastle.
Yeah.
And like he's obviously had
Very
some
good.
betting
Bruno
issues.
with a different role as well.
Yeah. I mean, Ali's obviously not here, but we always used to go on about how good Liverpool's like midfield three was. But the argument to say Newcastle could have the strongest midfield three
Yep.
in the league's definitely up there
I would agree.
with Jolin and
They had that
Tonali.
the
And
first Champions League spell, how good
Yeah.
the midfield was, man.
Powerful.
It's the same
yeah,
as
but
well.
who was there that?
Oh no, it was Willock that played.
Oh,
Yeah.
Instead of Tonali,
Tonali.
a lot of it.
Tonali's been
But
huge.
even like Shane Longstaff was good.
Yeah, he was
yeah,
good
he
that
was had a
season.
spell in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I mean,
Tonali he was in the bookies, wasn't he?
yeah he was in the bookies, mate.
he was
Same
in the
betting
bookies
record
betting
as
all of the
me.
games, mate. Yeah.
Lose every bet you put on.
How much do you reckon he was putting on?
Ah, fucking God knows. More than I do anyway, but still losing.
Yeah, too much, man. What an idiot. Yeah, Langa, Tonali. I mean, I think Gravenberch. Obviously, that came out the blue. That's his
Yeah,
number
oh,
6.
Fuck,
huge.
a great shout.
I mean, he did. You know, that's the first time he's played a full season of football, and he was. You know, he kind of started to dip a wee bit, but I think improvement
I
wise,
think
he
he
was
just
really
played
good.
so many
Yeah.
minutes, didn't he?
Yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, I wouldn't say Salah improved, but definitely a different type of role. But
Mbuemo?
Mbuemo, yeah, definitely.
He's got to be up there. Like.
massively jumped up to 20 league goals this season in Buemo, absolutely. What do you guys think? Who was the best coach this season? Who did the best job coaching wise? I mean, it's hard not to give it to the man that wins the league, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, especially first year in the league. But then I think if you look at Nuno at Forest, that deserves a shout. I think folk were tipping them to go down, and they ran out of steam a little bit towards the end. Eddie Howe at Newcastle, I think.
Yeah.
Really good. And then
Areola.
Emery at Villas. I
Yeah.
mean, they've been good for a couple of years, to be fair. But
And this goes into what we're saying. There's a lot of people that you can pick that are very good managers that are in that kind of fifth
Maresca
down.
was always an interesting one.
And
as
they came
well.
fourth,
Yeah.
mate. I
In
mean,
the
they ended
end.
up coming fourth. They ended up coming fourth.
The German boy at Brighton, 32?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Beans' dark horse shout last season. Sorry, no, that was Palace year dark horse shout. Was the one the FA
It
Cup.
was one the FA Cup.
Yeah, Hertzler.
Imagine being 32 and doing that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like again, good manager.
Yeah.
That's insane, by the way.
That is
Yeah.
insane. And where did Brighton finish again? Brighton ended up coming 8th, so they ended up finishing in 8th.
Slot for me, I thought.
Yeah,
I think
Just
first, yeah.
tactically, man, I fucking loved it. He was so good.
What's your thoughts on
So good.
just to go back to Maresca? You see in the Conference League final,
yeah.
apparently like Palmer made it pretty clear of just like, nah, fuck this, I'm not going to play like that anymore. I'm just going to do my own thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys, I've said a lot about Palmer. There's something about him. I mean, his stats absolutely prove me wrong, and he's great to watch. But yeah, I don't know. He's
Just interesting to be like,
yeah.
well, anyway.
Nah,
Yeah.
just give him pure freedom.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Going back to what we were talking about at the start is like, I think it's starting to head that way of like, stop trying to coach in particular the attacking flair pairs so much, right?
Yeah.
Like, get back to Francesco Totti and you know
Yeah.
that kind of like freedom of like, yeah, okay, you might not work hard and stuff, or if you buy the right types of characters to work hard, but also I'm not going to tell you what to do too much tactically.
Yeah,
like,
you're
go
our
be
best
free.
player, yeah.
Go be free, mate. I think
Yeah.
it comes back to that. So I'm with you guys. I think first season for Arne Slot to win the league, to basically just buy Chiesa, to have to manage the whole Salah, Van Dijk, Trent contract situation as the season was going on.
God, it was crazy.
I thought how he handled everything was incredible. And as you said, to me, certainly in terms of England, the most adaptable manager all season, I thought, by a mile.
Yeah.
Struggled in the full back positions as well.
Yeah.
Watched every game and you could just tell that we were obviously going to go and strengthen there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It was
we'll
class,
get onto
man.
that. I imagine I'm intrigued
Yeah.
to see how that
Same.
works.
I'm
but-
really intrigued. What else have we got here? Okay, quickly we'll go last two. Biggest overachievers, biggest underachievers.
Under's obvious, I'm afraid. It's United, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Man United. Even Chuck Spurs next to them, I think.
Yeah, but Spurs at the end of the day got the Europa League, Champions League football. It
Very
would
true.
have just gone the other way, right? If United won that final, then you'd be sitting here probably saying the same. They technically achieved what they planned to with their season.
Yep.
But both really poor, but I think it's hard to look past United. Finishing, 15th, 16th, wherever they finish in the end. I don't even know.
15th. They finished 15th in the end. Just same points as Wolves.
Yeah,
So,
I think
yeah.
it's hard to argue
Matthew,
against.
agreement. United. Underachievers. That's pretty obvious. Overachievers.
It's got to be Nottingham Forest.
It's got to be Forest. They were in the mix right until the end of the season. Everyone was kind of wanting them to stay in that mix, weren't they? In that 4th and 5th spot, just kind of dipped.
Palace, if you include the FA Cup.
Yeah, Palace. I think if you
Massive.
include the FA Cup, that was quite good domestically. I'm going to do a video on kind of. I've had a look into like all the leagues and how tight they were, and as we talked about, like, was the league boring or exciting? I did have a brief look, and everyone kind of, like you said, Greg, has this concept of things going to the last day. And I
Yeah.
had a look at like leagues across the course of the last like 3-4 years across all of Europe, and like it very rarely happens.
Yeah.
Like it very, and you, I maybe need to look a little bit at the bottom three, but as you just said, there, Palace winning the FA Cup, Newcastle winning the League Cup, right? You're not having like two teams that have not won a trophy for God knows how long.
Yeah.
Massively. So yeah, I think Forest biggest overachievers.
Yeah,
to-
100%. Like,
Cool. Well, let's wrap up the let's kind of wrap up the kind of Premier League part with our Prem 11s. Will I read Ali's out first since he texts us in and he's not here, and then we can bounce off it and you can guys say.
One.
I'm not going to be honest with you. Mine's very similar to Ali's, bar the odd player or two that I switch around. So I'll start with Ali, so you guys can have a little think and see what you think. But Ali's gone Sells and goals. Munoz is his right back. Milenkovic and Virgil is his centre halves. He's gone Kerkez as his left back. He's gone with his midfielders of Rice, McAllister, and Bruno Fernandes, and he's gone with his front three of Salah, Isaac, and Mbeumo. My front three is exactly the same. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone else
I
gets
think
into
that's
that
my
front three.
I think that's going to be my front three.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I've gone Sells as well. I've got Munoz. I've got Milenkovic and Virgil in there, and I've got McAllister too.
you're going Kerkez left back, yeah?
Yeah, I actually haven't. Sorry, I'm not Kerkez. I actually was debating who to put in there. So I'll go over mine while you guys think too. So like I said, I've gone Sells in goal, so similar. Munoz, Milenkovic, Van Dijk. I maybe just to be a bit different, but also because I thought how well he performed in the Champions League. I know this is the Premier League, but I'm just kind of putting that in there. I got Lewis Skelly. I thought he was great at Arsenal when he came through
Yeah,
the
that's
season.
fair.
I thought a few mistakes there. He's still a young boy, but
Sent off a couple of times, didn't he?
sent off a couple of times. But I just maybe just to try and be a bit different, but also chuck someone in there that done well. Lewis
England's
Skelly.
left back for the next 20 years.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
class.
he's
He's
class, eh?
honestly,
He's got that,
an
like-
absolute joke, mate.
He's got that arrogance as well,
Oh,
doesn't
mate,
he?
Yeah.
he's so
Yeah.
good.
And then just to finish off, like I said, the front three, no difference. I also had McAllister and Bruno Fernandes because I thought Bruno single-handedly this season was just keeping United afloat and dragging them. And funny enough, Beans, as you were talking about him a little bit earlier, again, could have gone with Rice, but I've put Tonali because I thought Tonali playing deeper was a big game changer for Newcastle
Yeah.
this season. I've gone Tonali.
Yeah, to be honest, I would be pretty much similar. I think I would have Rice over. I think Rice is class.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
do I. So do I. I
yeah.
just to try and change it up, chuck another name in there. Tonali. I thought.
McAllister for us was unbelievable. I'd put him in. Bruno Fernandes, yeah, to be fair, but you can't have a guy finishing 15th in the league in my team of the season.
I know. Who would you go? What would you go if you didn't have him? Would you go Rice, McAllister, anyone else off the top of your head?
Maybe Bruno Guimaraes instead.
Kamara should have a good season, playing a bit higher as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd
yeah.
have a really good season.
Matthew, any much differences in there? All those names, kind of what you would say, or
Maybe got to try to get my boy Tielemans in there maybe at some point, but
Tielemans?
nah, I'm pretty much the same as Ali. Did he go Milenkovic or Murillo?
He went Milenkovic.
I'll go Murillo.
Go Murillo.
Yeah, fair.
I
I
liked his
think
they were
he's
both
a
passing.
really
joke,
good.
mate. Yeah, he's so
How
good.
old's he?
Don't know.
Tell you
but
right
he's
now.
Scary as fuck. Like,
Yeah, he's class. He's a fucking unit.
well, on the left foot too.
Gonna find him.
Anyone else that would maybe go in the front three? I don't.
Do you
think
know
so.
who
I
went
think
under the
front three's
radar?
quite
And
much.
you're gonna probably fuck. This is gonna get brought up. Calvin Bassett.
You loved him, yeah.
I think he'll end up going to one of the top clubs. One of the top clubs to sign him. Yeah.
By the way, Murillo's 22. He's got great passing.
Yeah,
Van Dijk replacement.
Real's 22.
He's 22,
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone might
He's
check
gonna
his birth certificate.
he looks
Yeah.
about 35.
Jesus
Oh, he's
Christ, mate.
born the day before me, 4th of July. He'll be 20. So
Shag him in.
He'll be 20. He'll be 23 in a couple of weeks. So yeah, Murillo, go shag. That's like the Gary O'Neill thing. Go shag him, then best friend. Mate. Yeah, I'm not. I'm quite happy with all those players too. I don't think anyone else.
Any other keepers? Sells?
I mean,
I mean, Pickford only had a good end to the season.
if you look at the clean sheets, David Raya gets the same amount of clean sheets as Sells.
To be fair.
It then goes Jordan Pickford, Dean Henderson, Sanchez, and Ederson on 10, Alisson, and Anna, Kepa. Yeah, so I mean, you could probably put Raya in there.
You
I
don't
mean,
think Raya pulls off some of like the best saves you've ever seen?
Yeah.
He has a bit of a highlight reel, isn't he?
I wouldn't be mad at Raya being in there instead of Sells as well. Both of them at the same amount of clean sheets. So
I don't know if it's true. Did you see the photo of Ryan and his pals on a stag?
Yeah, he's dressed as a air hostess.
really,
But they're all just wearing full Arsenal kits.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Did see
Didn't
that.
see that. Interesting.
I don't know. I find that weird. I don't know.
I mean it is a bit weird.
Maybe.
So they make him
Draw-
stand out like a fucker.
I was gonna say drawing attention to himself, if anything.
Yeah.
Do you know one thing, boys? Just before we kind of wrap up the Prem stuff and just have a wee finish up on just kind of anything else and thoughts kind of transfers in next season. But do you know what was really interesting? I think they did talk about this at one point on Monday Night Football or something. But so just on the Prem website, the most amount of passes in the league, right? And we just talked about the changing of the game, maybe moving to just getting forwards a bit quicker. But so your top 6 players that have the most amount of passes in the league. Number 1 is, I'm not going to go into the numbers, but number 1 is Van Dijk. Number 2 is Colwell. Number 3 is Saliba. Number 4 is Garvadal. Number 5 is Ruben Diaz. And number 6 is Van Hecke. So the 6 top players with the most passes in the league are all centre halves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I'm not.
They're almost like your playmakers, aren't they?
Well, no, not some. I just think it's more so that teams will sit
Play
off
out
and,
from the back.
Well, no.
Oh.
Teams will sit off and let the centre halves have it. I think
So they pass it back and forth.
is the main
Passing
reason.
it back and forth. Okay, fair. I'll take that.
It kind of pads the stats a little.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like forward passes
Yeah.
or something on those. That would be a good little video to maybe look
You're like
at.
fucking Mr. Statman tonight, eh?
Oh, I got the stats loaded up, mate.
Fucking hell.
Remember last time I printed off the,
Someone's done his homework.
last time I printed everything off and forgot it all.
Yeah.
So I was like, just doing it all on
You
my laptop.
fucking love a stat, eh?
I like just like what do I think and then looking at the stat. Like I'm not into like XG and all that. I hate that stuff. I don't have any time for it. Like I'm reading that Ian Graham book. I think it's on there, the How to Win the Premier League, and sometimes I'm like, all right, let's get past this part, like XG and stuff.
And that must be heavy data shit. That.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's heavy
yeah.
data shit. Calvin Bassey's on the list at number 8, by the way, just so you know. Caicedo's the only midfielder in there.
in the top 10.
He's number 7. He's after Van Heck. Then it's
Interesting.
Bassey, Harwood Bellis, and Joachim Anderson. So just thought that was quite intriguing in terms of the Prem stuff. Anything else anyone wants to say on the Prem before we kind of just move into looking ahead to the next season? We can quickly talk about some transfers and stuff like that. I think that's quite good. Just to wrap it up, just overall thoughts. I mean, obviously your big transfer is Florian Wirtz, right? Liverpool have broke the record fee. How are we feeling about it? Are we like? I'm gonna be honest. I'm excited, but a little bit nervous just stepping into that, because at the end of the day, any little mistake with that amount of money going on you or playing poorly for a run of games is going to be magnified.
I think they just must be really confident about it, right? Because they were basically just going up, and I know the fee got touted incorrectly at one point, but they were just basically going to Leverkusen back and forth. Like, they were desperate for him, so they must be confident, and they're obviously big data guys on that as well, aren't they? He's obviously young too, so you'd hope that he does still have a sell-on value depending on when you do get rid of him. But
I think when you look at it as well, though, like, I know seems like a big sum of money, but if you think about it, didn't spend money last year. Made a shit ton of money this year off.
You get 180 for winning the league. 180 million.
Yeah,
so you're basically spending that.
We got 100 just for the group stage in the Champ League.
Yeah,
that's not also taken into consideration then, like, sponsors and everything that comes with it, and we're also probably more or less going to be doing good business going the other way. So if you actually look at it like that, it's like, it seems like a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
but I mean, we've clearly had a fuck ton of money come in at the same time.
Where do you think he'll play?
I think he's going to play as a false 9. 100%.
I think so too.
He'll do what he done with Diaz for half the season.
I
Similar
think so
players
too.
in that sense as well.
I think so. Beans, what do you think?
I'll just have to take your word for it.
Yeah,
no idea.
I don't see everyone's talking about him all like he's an 8 and he's like an attacking midfielder, so that's going to take away from Szoboszlai or McAllister. And I'm thinking, no way, man. He played them whenever he could. He ran them into the ground. He's good, and Wirtz will be an option if someone's out or a specific game. Maybe you rest them and Wirtz can play in one of those positions.
There'll be the odd time I think he might. It would depend on certain things. Like, see if like he brings in Jota during the cup games and Jota scoring goals and that. I think then what he'll probably look at is playing Wirtz as a 10 and then Jota as a striker. So it'll probably depend on like other situations within that. Or if people get injured, he'll probably have to switch things around. But the good thing is that he can play off the left, right as a 10 and as a striker. So he's pretty fucking versatile. Like,
very versatile.
He loves that left-hand side channel, though. It'd be interesting to see how him and Diaz operate that, but he loves that left-hand side channel. But yeah, I think you could see little switches and rotations like that with him. But I think the strongest, I think they've looked at it and gone, that's basically our striker that we've gone.
I don't see us dropping any money on the striker.
No, not I.
No, he played Diaz in that position for half the season. I remember it so vividly, him playing central. Dropping deep, going but like running, chat, everything. Bit of freedom in that role, to be honest. But
and to me too, that's why Nunez like literally wasn't even like, you know, when Nunez at least played, he was a bit chaotic, so you'd have him running behind. He never did that, because I think he was wanting his 9 to come in and help out in the midfield.
We also played loads in a 4-4-2 this season as well, on and off the ball. So he'll excited though. To be honest, really excited.
Frimpong, Kerkez.
I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah, that'll be good. I think he's gone for. As we were just saying, I think he's gone for pace and guys that can maybe get a couple of goals when they get into the box. Like again, going back to PSG, Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, mate, quite lethal in those areas too. You're adding on 2 extra guys coming from the wing. You've got Szoboszlai or McAllister will be popping up at the edge of the box when whoever's there. Plus your Salah and Diaz and all that. Like you could have like 6-7 people just trying to hammer the bottom half teams. I think try and ham. So I think there's a lot of times, and again, this will go for every team. There's a lot of times this season. We kept it 1-0 for quite a long time, and it was like, go make it 2, man, and just like kill this off a bit quicker. Like, do you know what I mean? Kill games off, rest players a bit more, and all that type of stuff. So intriguing. Who else have we got? Obviously, United have signed Cunha. Look like they're in for Mbeumo. We said that.
City have signed that Cherky.
City have signed Cherky. Reinders from AC Milan. Aït-Nouri. So basically, the trial doesn't seem to be.
Did they sign another Aït-Nouri, and they signed another fullback as well? Did they not? Just Aït-Nouri?
I think just Aït-Nouri at the moment, off the top of my head. Definitely signed Aït-Nouri, Cherky, and Reinders.
I think it's just him.
Spending a bit of money. But
And then and any more chat on Mbeumo? Is he going United or Spurs?
Spurs
or?
now, maybe now that Thomas Frank's in the mix there. I mean, I don't know. Guy Carez is obviously now in talks with like Arsenal and for him and Sesko. It's like on that point with Arsenal, first of all, Arteta this season, a lot of pressure because if he doesn't win, he's gone, right? And also, whoever they buy as the 9 is literally just going to be like, it's like the kind of same as Verts. You better be scoring every fucking week, mate.
I was actually not to go back. I know we were shoo-ins for United being underachievers. You could make an argument for Arsenal.
Yeah,
like
you could.
not being there for. I know they finished second, which isn't exactly shocking, but like all that time of being right there next to City, and then the year that City drop off, they drop off pretty drastically as well.
Yeah.
Get that one, mate.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think City will bounce back this year?
Yeah.
With the signings, get a bit of pace. Pep Linder's little snakes going there.
I change my mind every day on it.
Trying to get a bit of pace, bit of energy, bit of intensity back.
I just can't see a Pep side being like that erratic for 2 seasons in a row.
It's the first I
Nothing's
read
ever
today.
happened,
It's
right?
the first time he's ever stayed when he's not like he at Barca. He didn't win the league, then left, went to Bayern. Obviously won the league, came to City. It's the first time he'll ever have not won a league and then still been there to try and like retain it win it back. So I'm intrigued to see because they were shot last year. I know Rodri obviously played a big part but they were just their wingers he signed they've not been great. Have they like
No.
you got look like Mahrez is gone, Sterling went. You know, if you look back like Sané and all that, and then like Savinho and stuff, who looks good. Like Doku's not really worked. He's not like Grealish, is he? Like Grealish.
Where's Grealish going actually?
Don't know. I'd be intrigued to see who again.
That'll be interesting, eh?
But I mean, they bought him for hundreds. Like, how much are they gonna sell him for? Like, obviously you're not getting 100 for
They'd
him.
have to
but
take like 50.
yeah, who's he gonna go to?
No idea.
Newcastle.
No idea. Maybe
Villa?
Newcastle would be a good start. Villa, maybe. Back to Villa. Yeah, get him in the Europa League. Just trying to think off the top of my head. That's kind of it. Like transfer wise.
Any predictions for next season? We might do another one of these before the season
Yeah, we'll
starts,
definitely do another one.
I fancy us like
Yeah.
Trying Liverpool. I want to see Liverpool
I fancy us
retaining.
for Champions League as well.
Go deep.
Join
in
that
that.
as well. Bit greedy, but potentially think maybe.
I said Brentford to get relegated. That was a bit rash, maybe, but
I mean,
From
this season.
this season coming, Brentford relegated.
I mean,
Sunderland to stay up.
but losing.
They're going to sign Jack Fish as the big man up top from the Andes.
It'll be cool seeing Sunderland back up. That'll be cool. Leeds is always decent to see back up. Do we think all three? We'll do that. We'll do another one of those. We're not going to get into that. Just quickly, last couple of things. We'll finish it up. Speaking about Brentford and obviously maybe getting relegated, they've lost Thomas Frank, who I think everyone would say deserves a little bit of an opportunity to work at a club with a quote unquote bigger budget. But Spurs isn't easy.
No, and obviously. Do you think sometimes like a guy like Thomas Frank, where he's kind of like the epitome of the club at Brentford, like really thrives in that situation, and you never know, he might go to Spurs, which is a totally different gig, like massive like stadium and that. Obviously, it's not quite like maybe got the same community of like Brentford's like a proper community club,
Yeah.
which he might just thrive off. Like you even see him sometimes with the fans after games and stuff like that. Like, don't know if he would have that
I don't
same.
know. It's a bit of a weird. It's a little bit of a gamble. For
It
sure.
is. I honestly couldn't believe they got rid of Ange. I
I
just thought
thought-
he would get a chance.
I just thought because he kind of fell out with the fans, didn't he?
He
Like
did,
stuff with the
yeah.
fans is a bit, I
He
know.
was fucking pish, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again,
and they were.
By the way, it's ironically talking about adapting. He did the fucking opposite of what he's done for 2 years in the final to win the final. Like we watched it. He was like,
Yeah.
he's sitting in. He sat in from about
As
the
soon as they
50th
went
minute,
1-0 up, yeah, really.
and it won them the final. And again, it's not about when we're saying that about the teams that were down. It's not about like, okay, let's just completely change everything. But like again, as we said, we saw it in Liverpool. We just soaked pressure up sometimes for 10 minutes, mate. Just soak the pressure up. So I'm intrigued to see Frank. I think Spurs are very datey and stuff, and they're big into that from that book I'm reading. And I think they'll try and be a bit clever with like signings. They're not going to go out and whack loads of money. Like Solanke's not really worked for them. I think they go
They're
in?
in the Champions League now.
Yeah, they are in the Champions League, so
How
they'll be able
the
to.
fuck are they going to manage that?
Well, they're gonna have to They're gonna have to manage another challenger, Thomas Frank, to come up against like European teams, different styles, different managers. It's gonna be interesting.
It's going to be really interesting. Like,
Club World Cup. Watched Bayern Munich win 10-0 yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not about it. As soon as I watched that guy from FIFA saying it's like the best clubs in the world all competing against each other, and then
Is that what he said?
and then a team gets spanked 10-0.
Best
It's
be
just
the
like,
best
come on.
it's been branded as. That's the branding.
Is it true? It's like the winner this year gets 100 million.
Yeah.
100 mil. I
It's
think.
like 93 million. That was they brought that out like 3-4 months ago, and everyone was moaning about it. And they're like, by the way, the winner gets 100 million. Like fucking cheers. So then it's gonna be PSG, fucking City.
Real Madrid.
It's gonna be someone of those like cheers, just
God,
cheers
that's
100 million.
huge,
To them.
though.
It's massive, mate. It's massive. Plus, they'll all just be treating it as like a pre-season. It'll be interesting to see how that has an impact on the teams.
When
as the
do
season
players
goes on,
get time off?
but they don't.
I don't know.
There won't be a lot of time off between it finishing and getting back in for your pre-season training and that.
It's only on for 2 weeks, right? 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2-3 weeks or something. So it will be in. I'm just intrigued to see how it impacts like PSG, Madrid, City. That'll go probably deep into it, and then have a little bit of time off and have to kick straight back into the league.
I know, and I wonder if, just say for example, if in the final it's like just say City against Madrid, is that going to be like, in like pre-season friendlies, they would like make like 5 subs at half time? They won't do that, will they?
I don't think they will. Yeah.
Well, if 100 million is like that,
Well, true.
So
Plus, it's the first one. I seen an interview with Vinicius Junior. Like, we want to be. It's a tournament Madrid haven't won yet, and we want to be the first team to win it. Like, that's history. So I'm intrigued. I think the players seem quite into it. I think as they start to get into
strongest teams in that by the looks of it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, I
Safe
watched.
to say Auckland City aren't winning it.
It was horrendous, mate.
What a shame, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, Matthew, we were watching it, you were like, that's just like a training game. Like, the
It was
pace that
very
Bayern Munich were playing at was like, it was just training. They're just knocking it around and then flicking it in
They're
behind.
part time. I
Yeah.
was reading yesterday.
Yeah.
The keepers had to
Part-time.
take like
What?
the Auckland City goalie had to take had to take unpaid leave from his work.
I mean, they're just trying to pull everyone in from like all across the world and like, it's
Am I
basically,
being a spies here, but it's New Zealand.
Yeah,
yeah.
Why is like a team from New Zealand in it?
they must just need someone from like that
It's FIFA, mate.
area.
It's FIFA. They have to pull everyone from across the whole world. And right, it's like Auckland gets. I mean, it's quite cool for those guys at the same time. Like they're going to play against them. I mean, they're going to
Oh
get
yeah,
humped,
like
but
the keeper
quite
was
cool.
buzzing, but
yeah.
Imagine they won it 100 million.
yeah,
I see. He
no
had to take time
No,
off.
but
He had to take no pay. Like
that
time off
postman
work,
will be
yeah.
fucking full time after that.
yeah.
But
Unreal.
yeah, let's see how that goes. But I think we've covered a lot, boys. We're probably touching on at least an hour there. So,
Cool.
I think anything else before we wrap it up?
So it's nah,
No,
all good.
cool.
Enjoyed that.
That'll finish us off. This will be obviously going to do the subscription service and everything. So this will be, as we do it, this will be part of the subscription service and certainly be an early drop for subscribers. I don't know if I'll drop this stuff on YouTube as well, but be a big part of this setup and everything like that. When I do the football ones, we'll change it up. So looking forward to it though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cheers.
Right.
as
Cheers,
always.
boys. As always. Cheers. That was a good one. Thanks. Bye.